Sabah al-Khair, good morning dear listeners. You're listening to Radio 3CR on 855 AM and Palestine Remembered with Robert Martin, Nasser Mashni and Yusuf Ahmed al-Rimawi.
Palestine Remembered is Australia's only English-language radio program that is totally dedicated to Palestine. We'd like to welcome those listening on 855 and those that will join us on podcast at 3cr.org.au.
Thanks for joining us. Stay with us and enjoy the episode.
On February 25th, 1994, Jewish Israeli terrorist Baruch Goldstein, along with other settlers from Kiryat Arba settlement near the Palestinian city of Hebron, perpetrated one of the worst massacres against the places of worship. The terrorists used grenades and machine guns at dawn prayers, killing 29 and injuring 150 Palestinians. On the 25th anniversary of this horrendous massacre, Nasser, Robert and I have spent long hours to reproduce in English one of the award-winning documentaries which was dedicated to the Ibrahimi Mosque massacre. So we will leave you over the next 24 minutes with a documentary titled I Was There, and the source is Al Arabi Television. Stay with us.
The Ibrahimi Mosque massacre.
At the beginning of the Israeli occupation of Hebron in 1967, the settlers started coming to the Ibrahimi Mosque from the eastern part and used to sit at the doorsteps of the mosque. Only the 6 or 7 doorsteps of the mosque. Not more than that. Gradually and slowly they started proceeding until they started entering the mosque.
After that, they entered the doorway of the mosque. And then they started to have more control and then started harassing worshippers by cursing and yelling and shouting at them, throwing shoes and sometimes their flammable materials onto the carpet of the mosque.
It kept going on like this until the early 90s.
كان أخوي الصغير كان في الأخ الصغير يلعب حوالين الحرم.
One day my younger brother was playing around the mosque and he came home and told us that the settlers are drafting on a paper, something on a paper, and they are planning for something. Nobody took him seriously.
On one of their holidays, the Purim holiday, they banned us from entering the Izhaqiyya court of the mosque. The people insisted that they will pray nowhere else but Izhaqiyya gate. They determined they would not allow us.
There were later clashes between us and the settlers. And then the IDF interfered.
Then came the governor and the intelligence services, and also members of the religious community. An agreement was reached that we can enter after 10 p.m. They planned something and they wanted to do it that night, but they postponed it to the dawn prayer.
It was my turn to lead the prayers and the study after the prayers. So when we entered, we noticed changes compared to what we have always been used to.
Yes, the majority of us entered from this side, the eastern gate of the mosque. There was in big numbers. At one stage, this corridor was full, more than 20 injured people.
The hospital reached its full capacity to treat patients within minutes. I remember Ali Hospital ran out of oxygen cylinders. To complicate things, it was still after hours and most of the medical staff were not there. I remember some of the injured people died waiting to be treated. We could do nothing.
The emergency unit was not equipped to treat this type and number of injuries in such a short time. There are only 2 beds. We had to start treating people as they lay on the floor.
I had to change my own drip. All of the doctors and nurses were in emergency.
And a lot of people couldn't do that.
To my surprise, I found out some injuries took place outside of the Ibrahimi Mosque, near the hospital after they donated blood. The killing was at the hands of the Israeli soldiers.
The second wave of Israeli hostilities took place near Al-Hali Hospital, and this time by the soldiers. When people brought the injured and dead to the hospital, the Israeli army chased them. This added another 12 martyrs to the 29 killed at the mosque massacre. I was in the second floor at the hospital recording. Next to me were foreign journalists. I remember witnessing snipers target random people near the entrance of the hospital. We caught all of it on cameras. Some of the injured people killed were brought from the mosque to Al-Hali Hospital. More injuries and deaths took place at the hospital.
I can tell you the hospital and its vicinity were full of people. Rescuers were bringing the casualties and leaving them immediately, paying their respects to the injured and dead.
I then started asking about my family. I told the people around me, I have a brother called Sufyan, another brother called Marwan, and my father Barakat. I also have a sister among the worshippers. Has anyone seen them? They told me, no one knows anything. The hospital was in chaos. No one knows or understands anything. I didn't know that the doctors were trying to save my brother in the very next room. I had no idea. I was not supposed to move. They couldn't save him. He died.
People didn't know if their relatives were alive or killed. People were buried immediately. Their relatives were worried that the martyred bodies would be kidnapped by the Israeli army. People were buried in such haste that many family members were not even aware that their relatives had been martyred. When someone was identified and their next of kin was about, the body was released and they were quickly buried.
The second tragedy was the formation of the Shamgar Investigation Committee by Israel. To my thinking, this was the real massacre.
Israel formed the Shamgar Committee. A few months later, they closed the mosque for 6 months.
The victim was punished, and the punishment was to close Al-Shahida Street and separate the city of Hebron from the southern section of the city.
The Shamgar Committee sanctioned a peace for the Jews and a peace for the Arabs. Israel was judge, jury, and the executioner.
The absurdity. The judges decided that 54% of the mosque, its grounds and surrounds, are to be given exclusively to the Jews, and 46% to the Muslims. There would also be electronic gates for the Muslims to access the mosque. This is the tomb of the Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him. The area over there is Yaqubiyya. It's called Yaqubiyya. It's Israeli now. They took it, of course. They took it from the Muslim Palestinians. And here, now you can hear them singing and chanting. This is a disco for them now.
They banned 50 calls for prayer every month. And for 10 days each year, Muslims were banned entirely.
They took the old vegetable market. Why, you might ask? So they could make it a hotel. The area of Daboya, they took it.
The vibrant heart of Hebron was cordoned off, and the Israelis said this is ours, and it is forbidden for Muslims or Arabs to enter.
They locked the mosque for 6 months.
If we cannot move forward, please brothers, head right. We will continue until we reach the mosque, peacefully. Let there be no violence. Move to the right.
After the mosque was opened, I was the first to pray in the mosque. And the atmosphere was very depressing. The Israelis had dug under the tomb of our Prophet Ibrahim. The tiles near the pulpit, they entered the tomb. It was almost 16 metres deep, under the mosque. And God knows what they've taken from the tomb, and they've covered a square metre with cement. And they've taken the old carpets and replaced it with new ones. The bullet marks on the wall are still visible, where they have tried to do a repair after their investigations. I believe the carpets were completely stained with blood and they were replaced.
What are you going to say? Are you going to think about this man who died in his father's lap? What are you going to speak about? Stories that have no start or an end.
Injustice can never be forgotten. This will always be a memory engraved in my heart. With this, we've come to the end of this week's edition of Palestine Remembered. Thank you for being with us, and remember to tune in next Saturday, same time, 9:30 in the morning. Until then, this is Nasser, Robert and Yusuf wishing you the best of time, and salam.